Attention, today we're featuring a bicycle that's so unique I'm not sure it even qualifies as one. Van Ryssel people say their ideal future bicycle is a concept bike. Please keep an open mind as I experienced the same thing. When I saw it and began analyzing its contents, I didn't understand anything. They explained a bit and I'll try to convey it. This is a Van Ryssel concept bike. It's basically a blank canvas for engineers to break free from the Union Cycliste International rules, from the Union Cycliste International to break free from any kind of regulation, even from European Union traffic regulations, from any limitation. Erase it completely and think, as the Americans say, out of the box, to step outside the mental framework that we all have. Regarding a bicycle, what you can see here is the Van Ryssel project. It says functional threshold power 2 there. Okay, basically, if you look at it like this, roughly speaking, without going into detail, it looks like a triathlon bike, a triathlon time trial bike, like the ones we could see competing in Ironman Kona perfectly. Of course, with handlebars, a carbon cockpit that looks much more like a traditional road bike handlebar, not the typical time trial bike with aero bars. Okay, up to then everything is normal, a well-designed fork. Aerodynamically, as you can see, there's a section where you notice the seat tube, which wouldn't comply with Union Cyclist International regulations for road racing. A rear triangle, as you can see, very low, super aerodynamic and very streamlined at the back. It reminds me, I think, of the Feld or even the Cadex bikes that have been used in Ironman in recent years. Very deep section wheels. Let's say that up to this point, everything is more or less what you might find in a triathlon bike mixed with a traditional road bike. We even have the Continental aerodynamic tire. Actually, this one is from Continental and features a suicide logo. Also up there, the one they released new last year. Well, anyway, as I was saying, it might look like a triathlon bike. The surprise is here. You see, it has a Marla motor, which, as I've been told, is there to provide pedal assistance, but it's not limited to 25 kilometers per hour. Alright. What they're aiming for with this bike, and with that name functional threshold power, 2 is for the bike to be able to double your functional threshold power, so there's an assistance mode. Taking it to the extreme, the bike is capable of giving you 4 times more watts than what you're generating. Can you imagine a situation where an average cyclist is able to generate about 200 watts? Would the bike in that maximum assistance mode give you up to 800 watts? As it increases, everything goes up. Why? Since the motor isn't capped at 25 km/h, it won't stop. From what I've been told, these aren't prototypes, but they're 100% rideable. They're not molds. They're not models just sitting here. They've already been tested, and these are bikes that can easily reach over 100 kilometers per hour with the strength of an amateur, regular, hobbyist cyclist. They've already reached those speeds, and it seems that the engine's performance is so high that it leads to such intense heating. As you can see, it has some air intakes right below on the lower part of the diagonal bar, some very prominent air intakes. For what e-bikes are like nowadays, if you're used to seeing them in mountain bikes and so on, it really resembles air intakes more similar to what you'd see in MotoGP or Formula One. And did they really need it? Increase the volume of the air intake and position it at the front of the down tube so that a huge amount of fresh air enters the motor to cool it. Because it seems that, of course, with the demand of having no limitation, the more you ask, the more it gives you. Up to a certain point, they haven't told me exactly what the top speed of this bike is, but can you get the idea that it could easily? Could an amateur cyclist like us reach over 100 km per hour on this bike? If not, what's the point? Why does this bike exist if it even qualifies as a bike? Because it's not a motorcycle since it doesn't use gas. Really, if you pedal with zero force, the motor won't move, the bike won't move, so it's still an assisted bicycle without limits. So what's the point of this? Well, I think the first thing is that all of us here are recording videos, content, everyone coming up to the stand. I'm not sure if Aida can get closer or show all the people watching. the bicycle. It's easily one of the busiest stands at Velofolis, the early year fair in Belgium, where many come to figure out its purpose. Also, they've done a great job because they have people explaining the concept, but there are no signs. So you need information, you need to go to the people so they can explain it to you. First and second, the brand says this is exactly what they want. It's about breaking the boundaries of what is known about bicycles up to now and trying to anticipate what the future will be like. Will every bicycle have a motor? It's hard to say. Will every bicycle have a battery? It's hard to say, but I do think there's some truth to this concept bike, and that's that electronics will be present in all bicycles, not just mountain bikes, as we've seen with the Fly Attendant and other electronic suspension systems, but even more traditional bikes like road bikes or gravel bikes are going to end up full of electronics. I'm convinced of it. That will ultimately mean they'll have a motor and either a larger or smaller battery. Will things go this way? Could this become a new sport or be different from cycling? Will it run alongside or replace cycling? We don't know yet. I'll leave it for you in the comments section so you can share your ideas there, and it'll be interesting to read them. But anyway, another thing that makes it clear that Carlons for RYSEL is taking development very seriously. The ID are these sneakers that would go along with that bike concept. You're gonna be amazed too because look, to start with, you see there's a kind of sock that has, from what I've been told, is made between neoprene and plastic. Okay, so the thing is that you put your foot in that sock and those rings it has around it, can they be tightened? Around your foot, it captures the entire shape of your foot, your ankle, and fits perfectly molded. For that reason, this shoe has an access battery back there. Because once you put your foot in, you need to press the button so that an electric system tightens and adapts that sock to your ankle and your foot. On the other hand, the aerodynamic development of the shoe has been taken to the extreme. Any element that could disturb the airflow has been eliminated, such as the BOA closures. That's why they use that closure or that way of tightening the sock with the battery. And on the other hand, they have looked for systems that not only make the air flow around the shoe, but also accelerate it. As you can see in that aerodynamic concept, there on the side, it uses concepts like the Venturi channel that we can find in Formula One to accelerate the airflow from the moment it enters until the final part, where it exits at the back through a smaller channel, similar to what a diffuser does on the rear of a race car. Finally, and even more interesting, you might notice the shoe lacks a clip for the automatic pedal, because the shoe itself is the pedal. Notice how it all works. The design of the shoe has been created around the pedal axle. So that part you see there is the one that would attach directly to an axle coming out of the pedal. It would attach directly to the crank arm. So the bottom part of the shoe doesn't have a cleat directly. Anyway, it's absolutely crazy. I think we had to show this in a video today, no matter what. What do you think? Let me know down below. See you next time, and remember to subscribe for more interesting content.